Jennifer. I'm from Charlestown, West Virginia in the United States. I'm on the East Coast side, and I am the owner of Savvy Media Mamas. I was born in the Virginia Beach area and lived there most of my life. I was raised in a very traditional family lifestyle. You know, you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get good grades, you get a good job. And I am the out-of-the-box child. I'm the creative, do not follow instructions very well child. So I went to school, I got okay grades. I did a whole lot of crafts and creative stuff and got distracted very easily. And then I went to college, did okay, got okay grades, and I realized smack dab in the middle of college, what am I doing? This is not for me. I have so much more potential than to sit in a classroom and take tests and let somebody else tell me whether I pass or not. So I dropped out and got my first big girl job as an admin. And I was super proud of myself, and I worked my way up in the company, and then through there I just realized, what am I doing again? It's like it hit me again. What am I doing? I'm living life for somebody else. I'm doing things for somebody else. So I quit that and I became stay-at-home mom / work from home mom and started doing odd jobs, and I started my own company. That's kind of where I found myself. I wished I had found that sooner. I feel like I would have gotten so much more out of it, but at the same time I realized it's perfect that I did it this way. So I started my own company making and selling crafts. I started a blog, you know, talking about my life with the kids and, you know, everything we were doing. And I was learning things all along the way. I learn really well in the moment, which also explains my not very good at test taking. My memorization skills are not amazing, but my hand-on experience, so it's like, it stands out. If I do it hands-on in the moment and I'm really interested in it, I can tell you every single detail without even thinking twice of it. If you're like, okay, memorize this sheet and read it back to me, no thanks. You know, like it just doesn't trigger me quite like other things trigger me. So I started my own business doing, you know, what I loved and what I enjoyed. And I learned along the way. I learned how to start a business. I learned how to do all the admin tasks behind it. And my admin job before that kind of helped with that a little bit, but this was on a whole new level because, you know, you're talking about a business, like an entire business. So I was doing all that, and then I started helping out other companies, small businesses in my area, because they were like, oh, you know how to do this, I can't do this. So I was helping them out bits and pieces. Then it got to a point where I thought I was giving too much out of like helping everybody else instead of doing what I loved. So I stopped doing virtual assistant stuff and I opened up my own brick and mortar with my crafts and teaching arts and crafts, because I was like, I want to be more in what I love and what I enjoy. I did that for a year. It was a pop-up shop. It was amazing. I broke even, which most businesses don't break even in the first 5 years. So it was kind of, wow, you know, like I can't believe that I went into this and then came out, and it could have kept going. It could have just gotten bigger and bigger. I got out and I realized if I really wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, I'd have to invest majorly, and we weren't financially able to invest majorly. So I actually went through a little bit of a depression and a little bit of a, I don't know what to do, I'm lost phase. And it wasn't until I started helping out my first client doing virtual assistant stuff again, going, I love this. Why did I ever stop doing this? This is like, it brings me joy to help other people. It brings me joy to do puzzles and learn new things. My favorite thing is when somebody comes up to me and says, you know, like I have this idea and I don't know what to do with it. And maybe it's something I've never done before, but I'm like, oh, I can see that happening. all right, give me an hour. And then an hour later, I'm like researching everything. And I'm like, all right, I have ideas. I can figure out what we can do to make this happen. You know, that's my favorite thing. So I think that once I realized I love doing crafts and it's for me, and I love doing that, and I love teaching kids to do that. But I actually really love helping people. And it's when I owned it instead of thinking that it was a part of from me, like, oh, here's this side of me that's creative, and here's this side of me that's really good at virtual assistant stuff. When I realized that it's like a joint thing, oh, I can have two things. I can create businesses with other people. I can co-create and be creative, you know, with other people. And it wasn't giving away my power. It was like just building me up and building them up and building a better world, that I changed everything. And then I started Savvy Media Mamas because I realized, you know, I have this gift in me and I have this power in me, and I was hiding it because of a fear, you know, of, oh no, it's just supposed to be for me. And as soon as I give it out to everybody else, it's like it makes magic. And I think I'm doing things differently now than before. Before I would do jobs because, you know, people came to me and it was like, oh yeah, a little bit of money would be nice, you know, to add on to our family. We have 3 kids, you know, anything extra helps. And now I'm doing it from a completely different mindset. I'm doing it because I want the world to be a better place. And I know in the back of my mind what I can do that's even bigger than that by doing what I love. So I have some like key goals of when we get big and when we, you know, get to the point that we can handle extra things. I have other things I plan on doing. So my brick and mortar shop will be open all over the US. I'll have stores all over the US, but I won't be running them. And then I'm going to change the foster care system completely. That's my main huge goal in all of this. So I have my me projects that are going to be on the side, but realizing that they go together with what I'm doing now, I can help people with their businesses that help other people, that create an amazing world, that can also help me create an amazing world in a way that I see could definitely benefit him. Is a friend of mine who I grew up and went to school with when I was little, and she got pulled out of her home. She got put into foster care, and I lost her. She ended up going to a home. I went to a church outside of my school system, and she ended up going into a home later on in life there, and I found her again. And we reconnected, and it was amazing. And I got to like find out what her life was like, you know, all the good, all the bad. There's good and bad and everything. And I got to see both sides of that. And then I left for college, and she aged out of the system because she was too old. When you're too old, they don't adopt you anymore, you know, and then you age out of the system and you have nowhere to go. So she ended up going back home, which wasn't necessarily the healthiest option, but it was what she needed to do. And her life has since then has been a struggle because she wasn't taught the foundation that, you know, a lot of us have the ability to be taught. And then it seems like everywhere I go, like I left for college, she moves an hour away from where I am at college, you know, and we see each other again. And then I moved here to Charlestown, and she just moved here this year. And it's been like amazing to reconnect with her every single time and see how much she's grown and see how amazing she's been under the circumstances that she was given. And my goal is to save those kids that are aging out, to save those kids that don't have a home. I have the admin skills. I have the how to get your finances straight, how to build a business, how to create something out of nothing that I want to give to those kids that are aging out, that they don't know what they have. They haven't been taught basic, you know, skills of how to take care of themselves outside of the home. They haven't been told as a kid, you can do anything. What do you love? Do that. They haven't been like loved in a way that's like nurturing, that says, you know, you have these skills. Look at all these options that you can do with them. they aren't given that as a kid. And so I really want to give those kids that. And then in the long run with those kids, give them the ability when they do get their first job, when they do get their first house, when they do get the potential to see the potential in themselves, to give back to the other foster kids that are coming up. And I want to change the system completely that way. So I started researching a little bit. Every time I get into the research part of this, it just breaks my heart more because I see all the holes that are in there, and I know I can't fix it all at once. So I know that at least helping with the kids that are getting out that have no answers left, you know, that's a part that I feel like I can really do well. I've researched a little bit. There are homes that kids have the ability to go to that's like a group home style. They are given, you know, they're given help, but it's always under like you have to be, you know, going to school and getting good grades. You have to show that you have a work ethic and keep a job. There's all these like regulations put onto them. I read one story where the kid earned a bike. He earned a bike. This kid has had nothing his entire life, and now he has to earn a bike to have a bike to go to work. And that to me is just like, no, you don't have to earn anything. You are a human being. You are capable of anything. You can get it yourself. You don't have to earn it. So I want to instill that in them. So the research part of it has just pushed me more to do outside of the box things. I mean, I said that from the beginning. I'm an out of box person. I don't like the regulations. I don't like being tied down to it has to be done this way. So I want to change that in the foster care system too. You know, I feel like if you come in it with they're all human beings, they're all capable of anything, and see that potential in them, and then them see that potential in themselves, that we would be shocked at what they're capable of, not what they've earned, what they're capable of themselves. This might also be why I'm so connected to foster care and the way they were raised. My family did not take me quitting college, going to well. I actually didn't want to go to college in the beginning. I was trying to talk them out and do Habitat for Humanity or do traveling or do something else. And they were like, just give it at least 2 years, you know, just do 2 years and then you can do whatever you want. So when I quit before my second year was over, they were worried. I mean, they came at it from a very fear mindset. I'm never going to have a job. I'm never going to be able to support myself. I'm always going to be reliant on somebody else. You know, it was based out of fear, and purely they loved me 100%. They just don't understand me. And that's been the way from the get-go. And I feel like that's kind of another connection to foster care system, because I don't feel like those kids are ever understood. Nobody quite understands them. So I feel like, although I am not a foster care and I have not lived that life, I have lived a best life. I can feel and understand that feeling of not being understood and not feeling like your potential is worth anything, and not feeling like what you have set in your mind of what would be amazing to do is feasible. Like I feel like my entire life was being knocked down into what society said I should be or what I should do, or it can't happen that way. It's never that easy, you know. And I'm finally in the proving them wrong mode. You know, I'm finally in the, no, yes, it can be that easy. It can be that amazing. Change can happen, you know, and they're following along now with me. They're understanding where I'm coming from now. I think I'm better in a place to articulate it now than I was as a kid or in college. But yeah, they were scared. They were terrified. And they tried their best to keep me in that box of what I should be doing with my life. And I continually move past that box and live on the outside. So for the kids that are feeling all the pressure, and maybe the parents that don't know how to handle it, being an out of the box kid is amazing. It's a matter of teaching them that one way is not the answer, but also accepting whatever they choose. So I feel like if my mom had said, you can do Habitat for Humanity and college, I might have thrived in both because I was doing what I love, so I would have the energy to do maybe what wasn't my highest calling. I feel like we're at that age, you're really into peer pressure, really into what society says. You've been ingrained in your head that you have to do things a certain way, and everybody else is doing it, and you feel like you're gonna be left out behind, fall apart. You feel like there's so many ways to fail by not following along with those people. And all it takes is stepping out one time and proving them wrong for the kids that are out of the box to realize that there's something more. The second that my online business was successful, the first time doing crafts, I realized nobody could stop me. That was when I was like, no, I can do things my way and I don't have to follow anyone anymore. So sometimes I feel like it would have been better if I had the opportunity to do both, you know, what I wanted to do while I was in college, to see that I had that safety net to fall into society if I needed to. But I also had this amazing passion for something that gives me so much joy. Sometimes the best way to change someone else's perspective into looking inside what works best for them instead of outside is literally just loving them and all their flaws and all their bad choices and all the mess and all the positive. If you can say, I love you for choosing college, even though that's not what you feel like you should be doing, and I support you 100%, and I also 100% support you if you change your mind. Those words, waking up in the morning every day saying, you know, like I support you and I support you to change your mind, have changed the way I have a relationship with everyone in my life. I love you no matter what you choose. I love you no matter who you become. I love you no matter how many times you fall down. And a quick reminder that if you fall down, that's perfect. You know, you're supposed to fall down. We spend our entire life listening to society saying, don't fail, don't fail, don't fall. Falling is where magic happens. You want to fall because that's where you pick yourself right back up and you learn so much from it. Yeah, loving, just love is the answer. Adults, not just kids. Sometimes we put these expectations on ourselves that we think other people are putting expectations on. Like I thought my parents were putting this expectation that I had to be a straight A student on, you know, like I thought my parents needed me to be, you know, like graduate college so that they would feel better. But if I'm being honest, yes, it's what they wanted, but I put that expectation on myself. So a lot of expectations can get in the way of who we want to be, and that holds true for foster care as well. They're expected to fail. They're expected to be homeless. They're expected to be on welfare. They're expected, and maybe that's society's expectation, but they're accepting it and putting those expectations on themselves. And all it takes is one person to change your perspective. And really, it's just one person to make you look inside yourself and say, I don't need those expectations. I'm not going to accept those expectations. I know that I'm worth it, and I know that I'm worth more, and I can be whatever I want to be. And then as soon as that clicks, it's like a completely different person inside. I don't know. I mean, I've had my ups and downs in my past that can like push me to do things. You know, like I haven't had the perfect marriage, you know, I haven't had the perfect education. You know, I stumbled, we lived with family for a while, you know, we were struggling on our feet for a long time. So those things kind of pushed me into a hole to make me find myself and turn things around and find the inner peace. And jump out of what I thought society's norms were, like especially in the marriage department. Like my husband and I did not have what we thought was supposed to be a perfect marriage. You know, like we kept looking at each other like, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. This isn't what we got married for. You know, like I don't understand who we've become, and it's not who we want to be. And so take society's, you know, what they said you should be off, all those expectations off. And when I jumped in and found out that it was my mindset that was keeping me where I was, and his mindset that was keeping him where he was, and they were clashing each other, it was like open communication. It was like completely different people. And now we look at each other in a completely different way. And, you know, right now we're doing great. You know, if that changes tomorrow, who knows? You know, like there's no guarantees. And I'm okay with that. And he's okay with that. And we're raising our kids so much better because of that. I think there's so many things that could go wrong, and we hold it all together like it shouldn't go wrong, you know, and just being brutally honest about it, you know, like, wow, our marriage really sucked for like 10 years. Like, that sucks, you know, like, okay, do we want to fix it? Or do we want to just, you know, go our separate ways? Or do we want to fix it and go our separate ways? Like, most people, we were considering divorce. Most people, when they're getting a divorce, it's like they have to hate each other. And we were like, no, I actually love you better right now, and it still might not be enough. And that's okay. And I was like, oh, we're going to be those people that get divorced and still like love each other. We still care about each other. We still want the best for each other. And then we were like, well, maybe we don't want a divorce, you know? So I don't know. We're still in the I don't know phase, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think those big things that we put on us, like they have to be a certain way, as soon as you break those down, and as soon as you look inside and you take off all these rules and all these regulations of what your life can be, that's when things just say fall into place, and you find that like happy spot of like, I'm happy with who I am, regardless of anything that's going on around me, regardless of outer expectations. You know, I see the potential in myself. I see the potential in the difference that I can make in the world. You know, everything else just kind of falls into place. We all need to go inside and work on ourselves and be happy with who we are inside instead of worrying about what's outside.